a little history lesson on my injury. So back in December, the day after my birthday, I went snowboarding with my kids. And on the second run of the day, barely even getting into the groove, I caught an edge and went down hard enough to completely break my humerus muscle and displaced it in such a way that it actually went into my deltoid muscle. And that was extremely painful. And I was recording it, but it just happened in such a nanosecond. And I really don't want to look at the video. I'm not ready to watch the video yet because the moments after that crash and what my arm felt like was something I just don't want to relive. Not now. So then I spent the next 8 days trying to just be as immobile as possible and dealing with some pretty insane amounts of pain. Before the first surgery, a couple days after Christmas on the 27th. So then 5 days later, after the surgery, after I'm starting to feel better, while putting this exact shirt on, actually, this pullover, half zip pullover, which, by the way, putting this on this morning, I had like PTSD, I had a flashback from it. I panicked for a moment because it's difficult for me to put shirts on. It's difficult for me to do a lot of things right now. Dressing myself is definitely one of those. But putting this pullover on, I felt a pop and some pain in my arm. And that was on a Saturday. And I knew something had happened when I felt the pop. And then I started feeling some pain that I hadn't yet felt. But I was being hopeful that maybe the hardware or something has to settle. I already had a follow-up with the doctor the Tuesday after. So I did have a few days there where I was just swimming. My mind is in a sea of emotions and chaos, wondering, did I do something wrong to my arm? What does this mean? So Tuesday came along, the doctor started moving my arm around before I even really got to tell him what I was experiencing, and before the x-ray. And as he's moving my arm around, it was obviously very painful. Had the x-ray, and the x-ray confirmed that the plate and a pin popped off the bone. It's hard to digest that moment and to come to realization that I have to go back in for a second surgery. So went back in for a second surgery 2 days after that and had more pins put in, and that was a pretty difficult time to go through, not knowing how the surgery would go, because there's only so much that can be done when you break your bone the way I broke mine. What kind of effects would it have on my mobility? Because it's right at the top of the humerus, right up against the shoulder. Fortunately, he did not have to take the plate out and all the pins out, which was a possibility. He only had to put a few more screws, I think 2 more screws in, to better secure it. I did have another follow-up just last week where I've been given the green light to do physical therapy. Had another x-ray, everything looks good. There is a lot of hardware in there, and there are a lot of screws in there. So despite the setbacks, I am now on what I believe to be the proper road to recovery. Because after the second surgery, I didn't move my arm for weeks. I didn't want to. I was terrified of doing something wrong again. I'm out here just on a beautiful February, first week of training for the San Diego Marathon, 16 weeks to go. 3-mile walk. I'm trying to go under 56 minutes for the 5K walk. I did 56 minutes yesterday, which is just kind of getting my walking pace to around 17 minutes and 30 seconds a mile. And I hope within a couple of weeks, and I don't even know what to base this on, but maybe in a couple of weeks or less, I can start going into like a light jog. That is ideal. That's the ideal scenario for me. But I still need to make sure that I can, you know, move my arm. Again, I'm bending at the elbow. It's doable. Twisting it, it's just moving my shoulder up or out is something I'm still not comfortable with. Well, for one, there's pain, and two, before I even start actual physical therapy with a physical therapist, I want to get, you know, some proper advice and a proper evaluation before I start doing things like that. I mean, maybe that's the slowest approach towards a near complete recovery, but I can't take that chance right now. I took that chance after the first surgery and it failed. It's going to be a challenging and painful training block this year. I've always told myself that no matter what, as long as I can walk, or I don't even, you know, as long as I can move, I will be on the start line and make it to the finish line of the San Diego Marathon. And that's no different this year. Surfing, on the other hand, surfing will be the most difficult sport for me to get back into, obviously, with just the paddling and the standing up. You use your arms and your shoulders a lot to do that. Swimming, biking is another one, but I don't know when I'll be back out on the bike. Not because, you know, you really necessarily use your arms a lot in biking, but the fear of falling may not be worth the risk for some time before I'm, you know, until I consider myself 100% recovered. Because I cannot re-injure my arm. That's the beauty about running, you know, unless I get out there on some real technical terrain, a real technical trail with, you know, embedded roots and rocks, and I take a spill and I fall, which has happened. I just gotta make sure I fall the right way, or I fall onto my right side, not my left side. All these things you gotta consider. But yeah, ready to begin week 2 of marathon training, and catch you next week.